So that's what he did in Japan.
Recording. I'm done.
Huh. Your job is done. Now if it's all crooked.
Thank you. You'll see it on YouTube.
Oh, good. Oh, they haven't voted yet. Oh, I thought they had voted.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was the title of the meeting.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I won't do it without this. I don't want to do it now. I need one more.
Won't get in front of the camera.
No, smile, you're on candid camera.
Don't need to be. Unless I get a front row seat. Got me.
Smile, don't look at it like that.
Just check.
Oh, yeah.
Couple of mine.
They're celebrating.
I know, I think we're so
Okay, notice is given by the meeting of the Board of Directors of Pine Ridge at Fort Myers Village 1 Condominium Association Incorporated will help at the following date, time, and place. Date, January 15th, time, 6:30 p.m. at the Clubhouse, 4801 Lakeside Club Boulevard, Fort Myers, Florida, 33905. All right, we're ready for the Pledge of Allegiance with the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to take a moment for quiet for Dan Marino, who passed away last January.
This January.
Last weekend. Sorry about that.
Weekend.
January 2019. Okay, Eric, please announce the roll call.
Michael Allen.
Here.
Isabel Costanza.
Here.
Ken Jerome.
Here.
John Fricker.
Here.
Scott Harris.
Here.
Phil Schifano.
Here.
Bill England.
Here.
We have a full board.
Thank you, Tom.
Proof of notice, has the proof of notice been given?
Yeah, the meeting was properly noticed.
Open forum?
First one.
Skip said he may want to speak. Skip, did you want to speak?
Yeah, I almost got hit again at the mailbox at 7 o'clock in the morning. Can these people slow down? Go on my thing.
So, everybody please.
Like that. Can you, if that happens, if I have this in my report later, if you get the license plate number, we'll talk to them. Shouldn't be any reason for that.
And Pat, Ricky?
Ed or Pat Ricky?
Make them both come up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just putting everybody up on notice that Pine Ridge Day is coming up March 14th, and it's for the new people. It is a community affair. It's a great day. There are volunteer sign-up sheets on the hall, and once we've got those filled, we'll start calling people, and there's games, there's food. It's just a community day. It's a fun day. Lastly, there's a list up there for the men's Romeo lunch, January 27th at Hog Bodies, North Fort Myers. Thank you.
Okay, Liz Steinhardt, sorry.
I see on the agenda there's...
Microphone.
Okay, on the agenda there's an item 3 about hiring a survey company. I'm assuming that's for the walkway down there. So maybe I'll just save my comments until we've had that discussion from the board. The only thing that I found out when I went to the tax appraiser's office is that there is an official easement which has a deed number that I have if you want it. That's inactive. And it's not part of the 4 deeds that are the Habitat property. So those pieces of property that we're concerned about that were with Habitat are just separate deeds. They're not buildings. And Habitat has all of those. So those things are not buildings. There's no permits. You can go online and try and watch permits as they're being posted. Haven't been able to figure that one out yet, but I'm interested to see what you guys are going to say about the survey. Good. Thank you.
Bernadette Frost.
I was wondering if something could be brought up for discussion again. Regarding the doors, it sounded like something that might be a good idea at the time it was brought up. I think that people might have wanted different color for the buildings, and then it was determined to keep the same color. And then I think that's how we got to having the idea of a different color on each door. And the more we think about that, a lot of wisdom comes around from the women talking at the pool. And the theory at the pool is, maybe we should think about this again, like each door being a different color doesn't seem that bright. Maybe even if we had the same color on each floor, I don't know how this all works out, but just something, can we, I don't know how it got voted, or can that be voted again? Maybe even the same color on each floor seems a lot better, even if we could have a show of hands tonight.
We're not going to do a show of hands tonight.
Okay. I didn't think so. But anyway, just a thought, do whatever you want with it.
What I would say is let's take a look at the colors, and we'll have those later this week or next week. And then you guys can make more of a determination what you think. What's going to happen.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to propose that we waive the reading of the minutes.
The reading of the minutes.
Reading of the minutes. Second.
I'll vote.
Yeah.
You would second. He can't vote.
Yeah, you moved, I seconded.
There we go.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Manager's report?
Can I say something, please? I know I forgot to put, I didn't get here in time to put my name on there. Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
I'd like to make a proposal.
Come on now.
Yes, I'd like to make a proposal that we do something about this project all over.
Can't hear.
Mic up.
Is this better?
Yes.
The bocce ball court that we have is in bad disrepair. And bocce has become a lot more popular these days. A lot more people want to play it. And this one is practically unplayable. So I'd like to make a proposal that we build 2 bocce ball courts. And that they be built whatever the board suggests or proposes. But my suggestion would be that we build them over where the shuffleboard quotes are. So that's my proposal. That's what we take it into consideration and get some of it work on. Okay?
Can I just say something about that? I think that the problem about putting it over where the bocce court, or where the shuffleboard courts are, originally when people bought over there, they would charge $1,000 more to have their homes over there. And if I was an owner, I think I'd have a hard time with it. I don't know how all the owners would feel about having more things over there. So I think that we would have a problem trying to get something over there, is what I'm saying.
Maybe we can go and see if there's a strong objection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have to be addressed.
Talk to the residents.
See if
Yeah.
there's any
But
strong.
we already have 40 shuffleboard courts over there.
Yeah, but they were there, but they were there from the beginning.
Yeah. But,
I don't know, I don't live over
was it
there.
for the beginning?
Huh?
Was it there from the beginning, before the people paid $1,000?
I don't know, you'd have to ask somebody. I've been here since '94 and they were there.
We'll check into that.
Yeah. But, yeah, that,
I just
they
think
would
it had
have
to
to be 1 day a week.
Yeah, I just think it needs to be addressed, that's all.
Okay.
Now we'll go ahead with the manager's report.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, everybody. Now, we're gonna hold all the rest till the end, okay? Good evening, everybody. I want to start off by announcing, or letting you guys know, if you don't know, that Pamela had her baby on January 4th. She had a little baby boy named Levi. And he's a really beautiful, cute kid, and they're very happy, and she looks great, so everything went according to plan, so very good. With Pamela out, we've hired Allison. She goes by Allie. I don't know, a lot of you maybe have met her over the last week. She's picking it up pretty quickly and she's doing a good job, but bear with her because it's her first couple days here. Over the last month, we've done a lot. We planted our annual flowers of begonias. We did a significant amount of tree trimming. We mulched the entire community, and we started our large painting project at the beginning of the year, and they're moving right along. However, tonight I'm going to focus my report on the Community Association Officers Educational Series that several of the board members and I participated in last week, as we have over the past several years. Some of the topics discussed at this month's forum were a little bit touchy and on the cutting edge of issues that community associations like ours are going to be facing. The course was titled Marijuana, Service Shih Tzus, and Drones. And I guess Shih Tzus is a play on issues. Service animal issues.
What is it?
And then it's
Yeah, but
what
what
is
are-
the board to do? That's the
Title of the meeting here, right?
So
Oh.
these issues are issues that didn't exist 10 years ago for communities. We never would have thought that it would be a thing. We started the presentation off with a medical marijuana expert, or a CBD expert. She was the owner of a large CBD company, and she went through and she clarified the differences between CBD and hemp, which are not going to get you intoxicated, versus marijuana and THC, which will. And for the first two, you don't need a license. The second two, you need a doctor's prescription. CBD does not have the psychoactive component like marijuana. Most users are able to administer this medicine in a way that doesn't affect their neighbors. The woman that did the presentation said that a lot of people do it just by a dropper, and they mix in some water and then they drink it. When we talk about medical marijuana, that's a different story because it can potentially, if your neighbor's doing it, could potentially affect you, and you may or may not like that. The attorney that made the presentation, this part, Richard DeBost, who you may read his article in Naples Daily News, and he said it's a very difficult situation for him to even counsel his clients on at this point because it's so new. On one hand, it is medicine prescribed by a medical doctor for a specific ailment. However, the federal government rates it as illegal. So he's kind of counseled his clients that the fact that it remains illegal on a federal level gives the association a little bit of latitude in restricting its use. And the law in Florida does not allow it to be used in a public place. The difficult part is going to be, is the lanai a public place or not? And we have that problem a little bit with cigarette smoke. And that's where we're going to have to kind of cross that line, and I think it's going to be based entirely on what direction the laws go. If the federal government decides to relax it, then we're going to lose the right to kind of restrict it, whereas if we have that federal law to fall back on, it gives you a little bit of latitude. However, it is medicine and you have to be very careful. That was the whole catch. Regarding service animals and emotional support animals, I've talked about this before, but there are only two types of animals that qualify as service animals. Obviously, dogs are one of them. The other is a miniature horse. So the question is why miniature horse? So there's a lot of reasons, but the main ones are that they live longer than dogs, so they don't have to go through the adjustment of a new service animal. They don't shed, and they don't have the hyperallergenic qualities some dogs have, believe it or not. And then their strength affords them certain advantages for certain disabilities. Someone in a wheelchair that lives in the mountains or something like that, the horse could pull them up. An emotional support animal is a different breed. It's a type of assistance animal that alleviates a symptom or effect of a person's disability. However, it does not provide a specific service to that person. That's where the difference between a service animal and an emotional support animal. Emotional support animal is not considered a pet, though. It is considered an emotional support animal, and they're not restricted by species, but they are prescribed by a medical doctor. The last topic was drones, and the presenter on drones was presenting all the things that drones can be used for as far as inspecting roofs after a hurricane. There's a lot of good practical applications for a licensed drone pilot who's trained to do this stuff, but it's very, very dangerous to take them out on your own. You're supposed to have a license to fly. You're supposed to register with the FAA before you go out. However, there are a lot of people who are buying drones at Costco and putting them up in the air and having fun. So you want to be really, really careful, because just like anything, what goes up must come down, and we wouldn't want anyone to get hurt or damaged. So it was a pretty interesting talk altogether, and I think the board members that went with enjoyed it too. And we'll keep you updated as we do more of this stuff.
Okay, treasurer's report.
Okay, as usual this time of year, we won't have the end of year 2019 reports back from the accountants, so I don't have a lot to say. Of course, I looked at the November statements and looked at the bills this month, and we're like, again, another year, we're in really good shape, and we intend to keep it that way. So I don't need to take any more time.
Okay, the president's report. Obviously, since I was designated as the president for this short month here, the best thing I can say is that I really appreciated the opportunity to be able to advance in my learning of how the process here works, how it happens, how people interact in the association right here. That meant a lot. And one of the biggest things was watching some of the stuff that's going on with Eric and the maintenance crew here, just on the things that they have to do to keep things going on a normal basis. So obviously there's going to be a change here real quick. So that's about all I can say for this time. Okay? Committee reports.
Thanks, Kate. This past month we put in 147. Is it 147? Yeah. Oh, I thought it said 147.
Oh, 147 flowers.
Yeah, and things. But we also put in a lot of crotons, and we replaced a lot of dying plants. Andrew from Avant Yard, we went around and we got really excited because we thought we could get some nice flowering trees at a really good price. And then he went back to the shop and the price came back as twice as much as we quoted. So we couldn't quite do that, but we'll probably be getting Jatropus and things. These were things like powder puff. They were new and unusual. And also I want to replace a couple of Hong Kong orchids, but they're really expensive. We talked about mulching on the far side of the lake over there on the east side, on half of it, and then we get the cost on it, and it got to be several $1,000s, so we're gonna have to look at that one again. Other than that, the butterfly garden will probably make a trip in the next couple of weeks because that needs to be refreshed. A lot of the plants out there have gotten leggy and they're past their life, so we'll do some of that. And people have been putting in work orders to have work done, and we've done a lot of that. I think we still have a few.
Yeah.
And not many, but anybody, if there's something along your wall or anything like that, just drop a work order into the office and we'll get to it as soon as we can.
And if you identify an irrigation issue or something that you think may not be getting sprinkled, also put in a work order and we'll have that taken care of for you too. So don't hesitate to do that.
Oh,
At the end of the meeting, you can take questions.
yeah. Oh, and I should mention about irrigation. We, if you see call the office if you see a sprinkler head blowing. We had one blow one like every time saw it. But if you see something like that, don't always assume you already know about it. It doesn't hurt.
Or if there's a dry patch by your house and you don't know why, ask us and we'll have it checked.
Okay.
Just navigating it.
All right, that's it for Wednesday. Landscape meeting next Tuesday.
Okay, I'm on the Rules Committee, and really the biggest thing that happened during this last year here is that we've had the same continual speeding and failure to stop at the regular four-way stops, two-way stops, and we're going to have to do something about that. We haven't figured out what it's going to be yet, but I can tell you we are going to do something about it.
I don't know if you guys remember when we put those cones out to narrow the lane to force people to stop. I don't want John to make me put those out again, but we will if we have to.
Any others?
The safety committee meeting. We had a safety committee meeting last Thursday, and there's a few items that we discussed. A surveillance system utilizing cameras in critical areas throughout Pine Ridge was proposed and discussed. This was in a reaction to, we had somebody lose a purse that in their condo that they left the door unlocked. So we tried to take a look at if there's anything that we could do. I mean, the best thing to do is to lock your door, but we looked into this. This was the first attempt to provide more safety in our neighborhood. It was a very good first effort. John Mall did a good job researching this proposal. The committee determined it was economically too expensive to implement. And the other problem is you needed Wi-Fi all over the area to do it, and we don't have that. So John will look, along with Eric, at two alternatives that will meet our goals and be less expensive to implement. Things like maybe a ring, prices for everybody, or some other general surveillance that's we can see somebody in the area. Huh? Yeah. Okay, number 2, lighting enhancement will be completed. We have one last light to be installed on Green Cypress. This has been a problem because we don't want to put too much light in there, so we're looking to get security lighting in there, but we don't want to make it like a compound. So that'll pretty much take care of the lighting enhancement throughout our campus. There were 2 cases of vandalism to residents' automobiles in December 2019. One automobile was scratched and the other had a tire puncture. That one was reported to the sheriff. Hopefully with more surveillance, as we discussed in item 1, we can catch these criminals. I'm waiting to find out what the police report said on that incident. Another incident was a resident had a bicycle cover stolen. Please do not leave anything outdoors unlocked. It will be stolen. Please keep bicycles, automobiles, and any other movable objects locked up. Keep any valuables in your autos out of sight and your garage locked. And lock your front doors even if you're leaving for a short period of time. That's something that we can control as residents. We have people running the four-way stop signs at Lake Clubside Boulevard, which is no surprise. There were two near misses in December. A few residents have observed speeding on Lakeside Club Boulevard. And as I said before, please get the license plate number and we will contact the offending individual. Same thing with the stop signs. Safety Committee feels that we are not getting any benefit with the security guards we hired. We will be discontinuing them at the end of January. And that's all I have for the Safety Committee.
Can I add just one thing about the four-way stop? I was just thinking as Ken was talking about, that intersection as we exit Pine Ridge onto Orange River Boulevard is a mess because we don't have the stop signs and that. And we would like a four-way stop there. Yet and they won't do it. Yet we have a four-way stop at our little miniature version of that intersection, and we don't want to stop there. Let's think about that and, you know.
Talk about it.
The one thing that we said before, when you're going out of here and you're approaching Orange River Boulevard, you know, be cautious and watch for the traffic. Still keep on going. If you make a stop there and the guy behind you doesn't make a stop, then you're going to have a problem. The other time is you got to be very cautious at the yield where they're coming around from Orange River. So hopefully we won't have any accidents over there.
Yeah, it's a bad spot.
When you're coming, excuse me, when you're coming in, there's
Yes.
people from that hotel that zoom right through Orange, right through our entryway.
I had it happen.
Yeah, I've seen that happen.
They have a stop sign there though, I don't understand.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more issues? All right, the new business will be started next. And the board will elect the 220 officers.
I'm going to go ahead and facilitate the election. I've given each board member a slip, one president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. We're going to vote in that order. Obviously, if one of the board members is elected to a position, then they can't be voted for subsequent position. So we're going to start with president. Each of you guys will write down and hold up, and then we'll secret ballot here. First one is for Ken. If we get to 4 votes for one candidate, the other 3 votes are irrelevant, or 2 or 1, depending on how many. Ken Jerome, 2 votes. Ken Jerome, 3 votes. Might be in trouble, Ken. Ken Jerome, congratulations. Okay, now vice president. You guys can vote for anybody except for Ken.
Okay, problem.
First vote is for John Fricker. Second vote, John Fricker. The third vote is for John Fricker.
One more.
What are the odds on the fourth vote, guys? John Fricker. Congratulations. So now we're going to vote for the treasurer.
It's Isabel.
All right, treasurer. First vote is for Scott Harris.
Yeah.
Second one, let me guess.
He was treasurer once
You guessed right, Scott Harris.
He is good.
Third vote, Scott Harris.
You might not be retiring this year, Scott.
Mike Leland.
Someone is a comedian who voted for Fu Manchu. I have a feeling that was Scott Harris.
Not as sure a thing as you thought.
Scott Harris, though, congratulations. Not so secretary is the final position for officers for the 2020 board. Cannot vote for Ken, John, or Scott. Fu Manchu wasn't elected yet. All right, secretary, this will be the last officer for 2020. Isabel. Isabel? Isabel?
They all think alike.
Just need one more for Isabel. Isabel Costanza. So those are your board officers for 2020. Congratulations.
Okay, the next step would be discussing the hiring survey company.
No, appointing the 2020 committee chairs.
Oh, I missed it. Appoint the 2020 committee chairman. Chairs.
Okay, I'll continue with the safety committee. John, you want to continue with?
The social club.
Social club?
Yeah, I'd like to do that one.
John will be the social club liaison. Mike will stay as architectural review. Isabel will take over the screening committee. Bill's going to do the rules and regulations. And Bill is going to take care of the lake and other amenities. And Scott's going to stay with landscape and the budget committee. Screening is when you do your background check when you move in. If there's an issue, we bring it to the screening committee. So hopefully we don't have too many issues.
Okay, the third one is to discuss hiring a surveyor to determine exact southern property boundary. Eric has already contacted Banks Engineering regarding this. Do I have a motion that he proceed with this survey?
I have a motion that we get the survey.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All, anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, now there were some hands for the open forum at the end. So people that had questions. Let Donna step up first. She was waiting.
My name is Donna. I live on Blackberry. I don't know if the thing that you were talking about with the sprinkler systems, the irrigation for the plants, there's one down by the mailbox on Villa at Blackberry, all the way down Blackberry towards.
So I know they fixed a couple of them today, but if you
There's
put
another one
over
towards Green
water,
Cypress.
right
That's
on that
also
one.
down, you know, the water's all over the street and nothing's hit the plants.
Okay.
So maybe if I drive around or someone else wants to drive around, check on it, you would like to be advised?
Yeah, if you just note those two places, I have somebody that works for us that will check on it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So what you do is just write a work order down, okay?
Yeah, just write a work order out.
All right, great.
There we go. With the hand in the back of the camera. Jolene, there you go.
Use the microphone, please.
Oh, yeah.
Julie. All day, I'm fine. Okay, I'm gonna piggyback first on what Ed said. For everybody, so they know, Pine Ridge Day will be $12 a person, and it includes the same thing as last year. It will be from Rib City, it will be half a rack of ribs, quarter of a chicken, coleslaw, baked beans that are vegetarian, that sometimes that's a question, a roll, a bottle of water, and dessert, just like last year. Okay, so that's going to be $12 this year. All right? Okay, so since you know that I do some of the social club stuff around here, we had the Christmas dinner and we had 90 people here for Christmas. So we put the oven on, we put the ham in, and in an hour, it was still ice cold. We turned it up to, we turned both ovens up to 425 and had an hour left to get the hams hot.
Did it feel hot inside of it?
It didn't even feel hot, and I put the ovens on at like 10 o'clock on 350 because that's what we thought, and it did not cook anything. So if you go back and look and you turn them on, you're going to feel the heat coming out. And I know Becky Cheatham has it every time she uses the ovens for coffee clutch on Thursday mornings. She literally stands against the oven. So I think...
Is it the door letting the heat out, or is it the heating of the
no,
oven itself?
the door is letting the heat out. The doors do not work.
And we changed those.
So I don't know if they totally need to be replaced. I mean, if they're 30 years old, like everything else, they probably need to be replaced.
Not 30 years old, but it might need to be replaced.
Probably need to be replaced. So, you know, I mean, we have a lot of events in here that we do use ovens for, because that's all we have to cook with. And, you know, we're wasting a lot to get it all the way to 425 or more to make them hot enough to warm up what we need.
Thank you for that.
So, just a thought.
That's an expensive thought.
Somebody will go near. Following up what Jolene said, as for Pine Ridge Day, if anybody here is going to a local merchant and they would be willing to give us a gift that we could use in the raffle or, you know, when we play the games. Anybody that frequents one of the local merchants, we had a few people that go around. We each have a couple of merchants that have donated before, and whatever we can take in as gifts, you know, a dinner someplace or hockey tickets or whatever, it would be greatly appreciated. We'd be giving them out at the raffle on Pine Ridge Day.
I think I might have a few tickets to the Everglades Wonder Gardens.
And you could also make like a basket, like a gift basket or something. We have some practical people too, so we'll take those too.
I want to piggyback on something that you were talking about on the entrance. Is there a reason why there's not a stop sign there for us leaving?
Yeah, I guess it used to be a stop sign both ways, and the traffic engineer, Jansen, I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, Ted Jansen.
And Ed and I actually we stood at that intersection, Ed and I, and we said like, how can you look at this and say it's not messed up? And he said, we're traffic engineers, we don't like to change our decisions once we make them.
I understand why there's not a stop sign at Orange River. They're not going for Orange River because they want that traffic flowing. So I totally get that, but I was just curious as to why we don't stop exiting.
Well, we're not, they don't want us to put a stop sign up on our own, they have to re-sign theirs to you know how
I mean, but every other gated community.
You know how that works.
In Florida seems to have a stop sign when they're leaving their community, and I guess I'm not
One
understanding
thing,
why ours is
one
different.
thing, if we do take, say if we did make a deal with them where they re-sign the other ones to signify that we're stopping, but the oncoming is not, our people leaving may have to wait 10 minutes before they can cross at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's a give and a take. It is safer. The right thing to do is put the stop sign there. But you know, you're going to be cursing that stop sign when you're waiting there to get out. That's the.
Right. Well, then I mean, I totally get why they won't do a four-way stop because Orange River's too. It's really just so it's used like so much, but I mean, it's also an issue for people on Orange River that are trying to make a left into the community. I know for one, when I come home from work every day, I stop, and when I can finally go, somebody leaving this community stops. And then I'm like, I can't go. And then soon as they go, now I can't go again. So I sit there for 10, and I'm in, and listen, I mean, that Orange River, I wonder, I mean, I know that you probably know how many people here have had crashes leaving, just in our community, but how many have had close calls? I have had close calls in my patrol vehicle leaving, because it just doesn't make any sense, because when you think about people leaving shopping centers, or the veranda, or any of those, they have stop
And what it
signs.
comes down to also, it's just not the correct traffic control device, the stop sign and a yield sign. For that type of intersection, it's not the correct. What they should have is a traffic light, because you can adjust that. 4 o'clock when everybody's coming home from work, you can let the green light be a little bit longer. Or one of those roundabouts, which people get confused there, so that those are worse, but at least it keeps the traffic flowing. But really, a signal is what should be there, in my opinion, because that can be adjusted to.
I tried to do some research to find out how many crashes have occurred there.
So did I.
It wasn't
They wouldn't-
working out for me. Even me, looking on my
I
computer,
did a
it wasn't
Freedom of
working out.
Information Act request, and they gave us like 2. And I'm like, I know there's a lot more than 2.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with any, and that just, it doesn't, just because there could be other ones there that just aren't reported, but I think the close calls are equally as important as the actual crashes.
And I bet you everybody in here is having.
Absolutely, but I just thought maybe a stop sign for us who's coming out might help somewhat, but it doesn't sound like.
That's something that could possibly be made to happen, but we would be giving up, so that you'd be waiting time. So that's something we want to talk about with everybody before we do that, yeah.
I remember when we saw the traffic engineer, he told us if we were exiting onto a county road, we would have to stop. Being Orange River is not a county road, we have the right of way. That's their explanation. That's what happened that day when we had him out there.
Right, but I mean, I totally can understand why anybody, if they're not familiar with the area, coming down Orange River, might think that we are going to stop.
Oh.
I know the sign's there.
Yeah, well, and if you don't know that it's a left turn to continue on Orange River, and you're barreling down the road at 40 miles an hour,
Every
you're gonna
time
have
you
a
leave a
problem.
community or a driveway, a shopping center, whatever, those people typically have to stop. So you should always expect that people
Well,
on
the
Orange
people heading
River are going to.
south, normally a road doesn't do a 90-degree turn, so that's
Another thing that happens when they're coming on Orange River from the north to make that left turn, and you're trying to make a left turn into Pine Ridge, the guy will stop, making a full stop, and he's not supposed to. And I wait and wait. If he waves me on, I'll go. But I'm not going unless I see that guy wave me on, because he's supposed to keep on going. And I'm just thinking, if I don't stop and he keeps on going and hits me, it's mine.
I don't know either.
Yeah, that's the
I
trouble.
don't get
It's a real problem.
Yeah, that's the trouble with that.
They won't have insurance anyway, so it's true.
My name's Doug Cobb, I live on Royale. I wanted to publicly recognize Isabel Constanzo. I love the dog park. I was kind of against it in the beginning, neutral, and then for it at the end. I have a dog, but I thought I was never going to use it because I had kind of heard some kind of negative things about diseases and stuff passed between dogs. But for last month, I've used it every day. My dog loves it. He loves the bathroom. So we have been over every inch of the thing, and I am here to report I have never found a left pile there. Everybody has picked it up. It's been neat every time. It's been great. Yeah. I've seen it around the neighborhood. Okay. The dog park is very nice. Love it. Just wanted to thank you.
Does your dog like a fire hydrant?
He has used that, but he's not, there's lots of dogs everywhere else, he's not particular. They like to pile on. Thank you very much, it was a great idea. I think a lot of people, I've met some nice people down there that I hadn't met before, and nice conversations. I think it's a nice addition to our community. Thank you very much.
I think that's important, Doug, that we get positive results. Because this is still on a trial basis. And we had agreed that we would put it in and we would vote on it after a year. Was it a year?
Yeah.
So that year is coming up when? In April?
Yeah.
So the more positive things we hear, the easier it will be.
This time last year we were starting construction of Adela first, and then
just going back to the exit from, it's okay, from the exit from the community, I think it probably would be helpful if the next time that there was a circular to the whole community, if the community as a whole was advised to always proceed with caution at that exit, because a lot of the communities do stop at that spot, and that is one of the dangers.
And she's absolutely right. And actually, when we met with that engineer, he wouldn't let us put up any stop signs or anything. Like we went ahead and got proceed with caution, please, to our residents as you exit the gate, oncoming traffic. So we have signage up there, but maybe sending it to the people also.
If the communication went out, people might read it and then.
But yeah, the exact language is what we use with signage, if you're correct.
Use it as a stop sign.
Okay.
I want to tell you that the dog park is not picked up. Alice is the one that you need to thank. Every single day she goes and picks up the dog.
Alice is an angel.
Alice empties, she takes it upon herself to empty out the garbage can, but that I've never once, I go every day, and I've never once seen poop on the ground. But she does take it upon herself to empty the garbage every day.
I heard the name of the new committee chair, but I don't know who they are. Who is the head of the safety committee and who's the head of the lake committee?
I'm at the head of the safety committee.
And then Bill England is going to take over the lake committee.
Are they going to post when the meetings are, like the landscape committee does?
We always do.
On the
Every month.
calendar?
No, I post
We
them.
post them on the
Decide when we're
bulletin
gonna-
board where the
Oh, on the
meeting,
bulletin
where the
board.
meeting notices go.
Okay.
That's where they're.
Is there like a set day for them?
No, they meet kind of as issues arise. Like, I remember you were at the amenities when we were talking about the music in the pool. When something came up, that's when we had those meetings. The landscape does it regularly.
How about the lake committee? Because there's, obviously a lot of problems with the lake.
Well, Bill's been the chairman for about 20 minutes.
Well, please let me know when there's a meeting, because I have a lot of concerns about the lake.
Yeah, I've already talked with Eric about meeting with the people that's supposed to be managing the lake
and we're gonna get together and have them come in and see what we need to do about the quality of the water in the lake.
So can I participate, or how do you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You could join us if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll post something
So I
on the
just
board.
keep watching the board, that's the only way
Well,
to know?
yeah, we're obligated to announce a meeting 3 days in advance.
Yeah, and we see each other, I'll let you know.
Okay.
You know.
But if you want to join the committee, see the chairman.
And we'll talk, but we can
Okay,
join the committee.
yeah, I do, I want to join, all right, thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Back to Pine Ridge, Eddie was saying about people going to solicit.
Pat, you're gonna have to come
I didn't hear what they said, though. I could hear.
Okay, for Pine Ridge Day, Ed was mentioning about people going and soliciting for gifts and prizes for Pine Ridge Day. We have a letter that you have to bring to people. I just gave it to Ally, she's making a whole bunch of copies. So if you know that you're gonna go to someone and ask them to provide us with something, get the letter from Ally.
And you still have the nonprofit certificate?
Yeah, it's the same letter, just for the change
Okay.
date.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it, thank you.
Okay.
There's 23 or 24 homes that have signed up for the garage sale this Saturday. And so I'm gonna try to get all the addresses and everything, and I'll put it on Nextdoor, and also down here at the clubhouse if you wanna have a map.
And one thing, I understand that there are more people that signed up for tables than we have tables. Those of you that signed up for more than one table, we're gonna try to give everybody one before we go back and give 2 to somebody, so that's the most fair way we can do that.
What time is the garage sale?
9 to 12.
Can you make it a little later, I golf?
We're gonna need the tables back for Sunday, because we need them for the pig roast and the pig roast in here, we need to set up for 90 people.
Oh my God. When? What's the date?
Anybody else? Are we ready? Thank you very much.
Every time.